Most Christians who fast are doing it wrong. Not wrong in a way that makes it useless, wrong in a way that makes it something God never asked for. Fasting is one of the most misunderstood disciplines in Scripture, and the version most people practice quietly works against them instead of for them. 7 signs today, not to shame anyone who's been fasting, to show you what it was actually designed to do and what it becomes when it gets twisted. One honest disclaimer before we start. If fasting is medically dangerous for you, blood sugar issues, eating disorder history, a condition your doctor has warned you about, none of this teaching overrides that. Wisdom and stewardship of your body are also biblical. This is for the person fasting with a healthy body but an unclear purpose. 1. You're fasting to earn something from God. The logic sounds spiritual. If I sacrifice enough, God will answer. If I fast long enough, He has to move. But Matthew 6:16-18 doesn't frame fasting as a transaction. Jesus assumes His followers will fast when you fast, not if. But the reward He describes is not a negotiated outcome. It's a relationship. Fasting that treats God like a vending machine, insert discipline, receive blessing, has replaced worship with bargaining. And here's the thing about a vending machine. When it doesn't dispense what you paid for, you walk away frustrated and certain the machine is broken. That's what transactional fasting does to your view of God. It sets up a test He never agreed to take. God doesn't owe you an answer because you skipped lunch. He answers because He is good. Those are completely different foundations. 2. You're telling people about it. This one is uncomfortably specific. Matthew 6:16-17 is precise about this. When you fast, do not look somber as the hypocrites do. Wash your face, oil your head, go about your day as if nothing unusual is happening. Jesus isn't merely describing modesty, He's describing a fast that isn't performed for public recognition. Your fast is between you and God, and when you deliberately make it visible for human admiration, you've already received the reward you were seeking. And once human admiration becomes the reward you're seeking, you've turned the fast into something Jesus explicitly warned against. Check quietly. Do the right people know you're fasting? Is there even one person who didn't need to know? If any of these have already named something in your own practice, stay with me. The next few go deeper. Subscribe now so the full teaching stays in your feed. 3. Your fast has no clear purpose. I'm just fasting without a clear reason tends to stay exactly that, physical discomfort without spiritual direction. The external discipline is real, the internal purpose is missing. Look at the major fasts described in Scripture, and you'll often find a specific reason attached to them. Esther's fast in Esther 4, she was about to risk her life for her people. Daniel's fast in Daniel 10, he was seeking understanding about a specific vision. David's fast in 2 Samuel 12, a specific grief, a specific plea. Fasting without a defined purpose is discipline without direction. It produces discomfort, but not necessarily transformation. Before your next fast, write one sentence. What am I bringing before God? What am I seeking clarity on? What am I asking Him to move in? The discomfort of hunger is not the point. The discomfort is supposed to be a reminder. Every time your body says, "Feed me," your spirit says, "Not yet. I'm occupied with something more important." Without a clear purpose, there's nothing for that reminder to point toward. 4. You break your fast with pride instead of gratitude. This is subtle, but it's real. The fast ends and something in you, not out loud, maybe not even consciously, feels accomplished. Maybe even slightly superior to people who didn't fast. Luke 18:12 puts a face to this. The Pharisee in Jesus' parable fasts twice a week and thanks God for it, while using it as a measuring stick against everyone around him. Jesus says the man who walked away justified from that prayer was not the faster. It was the tax collector who couldn't even lift his eyes. Fasting that breeds comparison is fasting that fed the flesh instead of starving it. 5. You fast from food, but feed everything else. You're not eating, but you're scrolling for hours. Not eating, but you're watching things that crowd out the very thing fasting is supposed to create space for. Isaiah 58:6-7 gives the clearest picture of what genuine fasting looks like. It's connected to loosening chains of injustice, freeing the oppressed, sharing food with the hungry. The outward abstinence is tied to an inward reorientation of the whole person. Fasting becomes distorted when the external sacrifice is disconnected from the internal purpose. Remove food, but fill every other hour with noise, and you haven't created space. You've just added hunger to a life that's still running at full speed, a diet with a verse attached to it. What you add in the space matters just as much as what you remove. 6. You use fasting to avoid dealing with sin. This is the hardest one, and it's the one Scripture addresses most sharply. Isaiah 58:3-5 records God's direct response to a people who fasted faithfully and saw no answer. His response is stunning. On the day of your fasting, you do as you please and exploit all your workers. You cannot fast as you do today and expect your voice to be heard on high. The problem was not that they were fasting. The problem was that they wanted the benefits of spiritual discipline without surrendering the behavior God was directly confronting. The outward sacrifice was real. The inner life was untouched, and God named it plainly. Fasting is not a covering for unrepentance. It doesn't neutralize a sin you're not willing to confront. God is not impressed by the abstinence of a life that's still protecting what it knows should go. 7. You've never actually tried it with a whole heart. This last one isn't a warning. It's an invitation. Most believers have either never fasted seriously or fasted in one of the broken ways we've just named and walked away with nothing, which confirmed their suspicion that it doesn't work. But Matthew 6:18 carries a promise that's easy to rush past. Your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you. That's not a vague encouragement, it's a statement about who is watching and what he does with sincere, hidden devotion. Not because fasting forces God to move, because sincere fasting turns your attention toward the God who was already watching, and he is not indifferent to hidden, genuine devotion. That's what makes Matthew 6:18 worth reading slowly. The reward isn't described as a transaction, it's described as something your Father gives, and notice the word Jesus uses, Father. Not a distant force waiting to be manipulated, a Father who sees what no one else noticed and responds out of who he already is. Not because you earned it, because he promised it. Not because you earned it, because he promised it. Lord, teach me to fast in a way that actually reaches you. Not for anyone watching, not as a transaction, just as someone who believes you see what no one else does and that you respond. If this changed something about how you've thought about fasting, say so below. Tell me which of the 7 you needed to hear, and share this with someone who's been fasting faithfully but wondering why nothing seems to change. Subscribe to Guard Your Spirit. Next time, we're going deeper into what happens when fasting